Finally, I can speak. That's how Lenny Kravitz chose to end years of silence about his relationship with ex-wife Lisa Bonet. What followed was a confession that no one saw coming, raw, sincere, and far from the typical post-divorce tell-all. His words revealed a story not just of lost love, but of enduring connection, admiration, and unexpected truths. For the first time, Kravitz opened up in a deeply personal way, leaving fans wondering what really happened between them, and why is he speaking out now? It all began with a chance encounter. Before Lenny Kravitz's heartfelt revelation about his unshakable bond with Bonet, there was a moment, brief and unplanned, that sparked it all. The year was 1985, and the place was backstage at a New Edition concert. Kravitz, then a struggling musician performing under the name Romeo Blue, found himself face-to-face with Lisa Bonet, already a household name thanks to The Cosby Show. What happened next would change both of their lives forever. In his memoir Let Love Rule, Kravitz described how he was instantly captivated by Bonet. His nerves got the best of him, and in a moment of awkward bravery, he blurted out a compliment about her hair, something he later referred to as one of the worst lines in the history of bad lines. But despite the clumsy introduction, something clicked. "We vibed immediately," Kravitz wrote. Time stood still. It wasn't just attraction, it was a magnetic connection that needed no words. That elevator ride, surrounded by the chaotic hum of performers, crew members, and industry insiders, became the start of something far more profound than either could have imagined. For Kravitz, the concert was supposed to be a casual night of music, for Bonet, just another appearance on the industry circuit. But that night turned into the opening chapter of a story that would span decades, through romance, marriage, separation, and beyond. This wasn't just a fleeting Hollywood crush. It was the beginning of a bond so deep that, even after divorce, distance, and the passage of time, it never truly dissolved. Kravitz has since admitted that he never stopped carrying that connection with him. And when he finally broke his silence after all these years, the revelation didn't just offer closure, it offered a new understanding of love, loyalty, and the invisible threads that bind two souls long after the world stops watching. Long before the headlines, red carpets, and the title of Hollywood royalty, Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet's story began quietly, far from the glare of cameras. Their path from strangers to soulmates didn't follow the typical celebrity script. After their first meeting, they didn't dive straight into romance. Instead, their relationship unfolded gradually, beginning with a sincere friendship. At a time when Kravitz was still trying to find his footing in the music world, Bonet offered him something rare in Hollywood: kindness, stability, and even her couch to crash on. Back then, Kravitz wasn't even fully comfortable in his own skin. He went by the stage name Romeo Blue and felt unsure of who he truly was. "When I met her, I was still calling myself Romeo Blue. I wasn't yet comfortable being Lenny Kravitz," he shared in a 2020 interview. "I was still asking myself who I was and what I was trying to do. I saw myself in Lisa, and our whole love story opened up my life to the next plateau. It allowed the music to pour into me without me having to try." As their friendship deepened, so did the emotional bond between them. Bonet not only supported Kravitz but also inspired him. She helped him peel away the persona he had created and encouraged him to embrace his true self as an artist. She understood him in a way few others did, and her presence became a source of creative and personal awakening. Then came the moment that changed everything. One night in a recording studio, Lisa tripped and fell into Lenny's arms, an accidental moment that would alter the course of their lives. "We started kissing that night," Kravitz recalled in his memoir. "I moved into Lisa's bedroom. Destiny had led us here. In that instant, friendship gave way to something deeper, more intimate, and undeniably powerful. From that point on, their love blossomed rapidly. The transition from friends to lovers felt natural, even inevitable. Their chemistry was electric, but their bond wasn't just physical, it was emotional, spiritual, and transformative. Kravitz has often described this period as magical, a time when he finally felt fully seen and accepted. Lisa not only loved him but also reflected the best parts of who he could become. Together, they forged a connection that was rooted in mutual respect, creativity, and freedom. They shared more than just love. Music, fashion, spirituality, everything aligned between them. Both were nonconformists who thrived on authenticity, rejecting societal expectations in favor of carving out their own path. On November 16, 1987, Lisa's 20th birthday, they eloped to Las Vegas. The ceremony at a chapel of love was simple, stripped of celebrity excess, and deeply reflective of their desire to be together on their own terms. At the time, Lisa was the bigger star, and Lenny was often referred to as Mr. Bonet. But rather than feel overshadowed, he embraced it with grace. "I was married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, inside and out," he later told People magazine. "And I wasn't paying attention to that." His reflection revealed not just affection, but also a tinge of regret, an acknowledgement of what was, and what might have been. During their whirlwind romance, Lenny Kravitz admits he wasn't fully paying attention to the music, to the moment, or even to the depth of what he was living through. Their love burned bright, leading swiftly to marriage and, soon after, the birth of their daughter. It was a blessing that deepened their bond in ways even they couldn't have foreseen. Though their romantic relationship would eventually come to an end, something far more enduring took root, a connection that would never truly fade. But it's what happened after the love story seemingly ended that makes Lenny's later revelations so remarkable. When he finally opened up, decades later, no one expected what he would say next. Before Lenny Kravitz stunned the world by speaking candidly about his bond with Lisa Bonet, their story took a beautiful, transformative turn. On December 1, 1988, the couple welcomed their daughter, Zoë Kravitz, into the world. Her birth was a defining moment, not just as parents, but as partners in something greater than romance. Zoë represented a new beginning, a grounding force that shaped their journey and brought immeasurable joy. Zoë was conceived during a trip to the Bahamas, a memory Lenny often recounts with poetic detail. "We didn't need a thing. We didn't need clothes. We bathed in the ocean. We made love," he recalled, painting the picture of a time untouched by fame or pressure. For Lisa, motherhood brought clarity and purpose. "Having Zoë saved my life," she told Honey magazine. "It was my wake-up call about growing up. There were so many things I didn't want to pass on to her, so I really made a decision to change into a better person." Together, the young family built a world of their own, defined not by convention, but by creativity, love, and spiritual freedom. Lenny remembers that era with warmth and reverence. "We were quite the family. We had our own groove, expression, and fashion. It was a beautiful time. The world Zoe's mom and I were creating was about peace, love, and spirit." Zoë would go on to embody the very essence of her parents. She became an accomplished actress, model, and musician, carving out her own place in the world while reflecting the artistic spirit of both Lenny and Lisa. But more than that, she became the living thread that continued to tie them together. Even after their marriage ended, both Lenny and Lisa remained deeply committed to co-parenting their daughter. Their devotion to Zoë became the foundation of a relationship that, over time, evolved into a beautiful and enduring friendship. Their story proves that while marriages may end, the bonds of family don't have to. Years later, when Lenny finally broke his silence about his relationship with Lisa, he revealed that their shared love for Zoë had always been a cornerstone of their connection, a quiet, powerful force that endured long after the cameras stopped rolling. It came as a surprise to many when Lenny Kravitz finally spoke about his enduring connection to Lisa Bonet, long after their marriage had ended. For those who assumed their story closed with the divorce, it was stunning to learn that something deeper had continued to grow. As Kravitz would later reveal, Zoë was the living proof that even when romantic relationships end, bonds can evolve in unexpected and beautiful ways. That, he said, is what made their story so different. Love didn't vanish, it simply transformed. Despite the deep love they shared, Kravitz and Bonet's marriage began to unravel after just a few years. They separated in 1991 and finalized their divorce in 1993. The split left Kravitz heartbroken, plunging him into one of the most difficult periods of his life. "I was in a tremendous amount of pain when we broke up, tremendous," he confessed in an interview with Rolling Stone. "For like 6 months, I only slept 2 hours a day, from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. The rest of the time, I was just up like a zombie. I was floored." That emotional turmoil didn't just haunt him privately, it bled into his art. Kravitz channeled his heartbreak into his 1991 album Mama Said, a raw, soul-bearing record that chronicled his grief and longing. The hit single It Ain't Over Till It's Over, dedicated to Bonet, became an anthem of unresolved love. Through music, Kravitz found a way to process the pain, giving voice to emotions many fans found deeply relatable. In a 1993 interview with the New York Times, his lingering feelings were still apparent. "I still love her very much, more than she'll ever know," he admitted. That single line revealed just how tethered his heart remained to Bonet, even as their paths diverged. Neither Kravitz nor Bonet has ever publicly detailed the specific reasons for their split, but their separation occurred during a time of rapid change and growing pressures. Kravitz's music career was skyrocketing, bringing with it the demands of fame, constant travel, and long periods away from home. These pressures, combined with the emotional weight of a young marriage and fatherhood, likely strained their bond. On top of that, Kravitz was still in the process of discovering who he was, both personally and artistically. He was just 27 when their marriage ended, still navigating his identity in the midst of rising stardom. In later interviews, he acknowledged that he simply wasn't ready for the full weight of marriage at that point in his life. "I had to take a break. I went through a lot of emotional things, a lot of deaths in my family," he explained to Flat magazine. The grief from personal loss, combined with career demands and internal confusion, created a storm that proved too powerful for their young relationship to weather. "I wasn't just depressed, I was in a fog. I didn't know which way was up," Lenny Kravitz told The Guardian in a revealing 2018 interview. His candid admission laid bare the emotional disorientation he experienced during the dissolution of his marriage. It was a time of deep confusion and pain, but also one marked by introspection. Unlike many who shy away from accepting responsibility, Kravitz has consistently acknowledged his own shortcomings during that period, demonstrating a rare self-awareness about his emotional limitations and the role they played in the end of his marriage. The aftermath of the separation was especially difficult. Both Kravitz and Bonet were suddenly navigating the delicate terrain of new boundaries and relationships while co-parenting their young daughter, Zoe. After the split, Bonet chose to move with 3-year-old Zoe to Topanga Canyon in California, a serene, nature-filled community far from the glare of Hollywood. It was a deliberate choice, focused on creating stability and simplicity for her daughter. "It was all about Zoe having this experience in nature, using her imagination instead of watching TV," Zoe later recalled in interviews. Bonet's decision reflected her unwavering dedication to motherhood, even amid personal upheaval. For Kravitz, the divorce triggered a deep period of self-reflection. The pain of losing his family unit forced him to confront long-buried issues, including behavioral patterns inherited from his own father. It was a painful reckoning, but one that laid the groundwork for profound personal growth. While Bonet and Zoe settled into a quieter life in California, Kravitz's music career kept him constantly on the move. The physical distance between them created further complications, particularly when it came to maintaining consistent relationships in Zoe's early years. And yet, out of this challenging chapter came something unexpectedly beautiful. Despite the odds, and the emotional wounds of their past, Kravitz and Bonet chose not to let bitterness define their post-marriage relationship. Instead, they found a way to rebuild on new terms. When Zoe turned 11, she moved to Miami to live with her father for a time. That shift gave Kravitz a more grounded perspective. "It really helped me to focus my life," he told reporters. "I was running around the world touring, man. I had to make some lifestyle changes. What began as a conscious effort to co-parent effectively eventually blossomed into something deeper, a real and lasting friendship." Remarkably, the connection they forged in those early days of friendship re-emerged in a new form. "Zoe's mom and I are now best friends," Kravitz would later share, proof that some bonds, no matter how tested by time and circumstance, can evolve rather than break. In a 2013 interview, Lenny Kravitz reflected, "It's interesting because that's how the relationship started," a reference not just to the friendship that evolved into love, but to the renewed closeness he and Lisa Bonet discovered years after their separation. This difficult period of divorce would later give profound emotional context to the revelations Kravitz would share publicly. When he finally broke his silence about the depth of their enduring bond, the contrast between the pain of their past and the strength of their present connection made his words all the more poignant. What had once been a story of heartbreak quietly transformed into one of the most meaningful relationships of his life. Long before he ever voiced those feelings in interviews, Kravitz had already spoken through his music. The confession that would eventually surprise many was, in fact, hiding in plain sight across his discography. His songs left a breadcrumb trail of emotion, charting the highs and lows of his relationship with Bonet. For Kravitz, music has always been the truest form of self-expression, and it's no surprise that Lisa Bonet's presence deeply shaped much of his songwriting. His debut album, Let Love Rule, released in 1989 during the height of their marriage, radiated the optimism and spirituality they shared. The title track carried a message of love transcending barriers, a reflection of their joint worldview. Bonet wasn't just a muse but a collaborator, co-writing 2 tracks on the album, making it a creative partnership as much as a romantic one. But as their marriage began to unravel, Kravitz turned to music again, this time to process his grief. His second album, Mama Said, 1991, became a raw chronicle of heartbreak. The lead single, It Ain't Over Till It's Over, was written directly about Bonet, capturing the ache of separation and the hope that love might still endure. With its soulful tone and yearning lyrics, the song revealed Kravitz's reluctance to let go. It became one of his biggest hits, climbing to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Its widespread resonance suggested that many listeners connected deeply with its message of enduring love and emotional vulnerability. Other tracks from the album, including Stand By My Woman and What Goes Around Comes Around, further chronicled his emotional journey during that time. These songs functioned like pages of a musical diary, painting a vivid picture of longing, loss, and reflection. Even in later works, echoes of Bonet's influence continued to surface. While Kravitz would go on to have other relationships, none seemed to leave as indelible a mark. His marriage to Lisa, and the lasting friendship that followed, remained a defining thread in both his personal life and artistic output. Lenny Kravitz's music has long served as a vessel for his personal truth, and nowhere is that more evident than in the songs inspired by his relationship with Lisa Bonet. Her influence left an indelible mark on his artistic expression. Through lyrics steeped in intimacy, heartbreak, and transformation, Kravitz turned deeply personal moments into something universal, allowing listeners to feel the emotional contours of love, loss, and renewal. In many ways, each track became a breadcrumb leading back to a bond that never truly disappeared. It didn't break, it simply changed form. So, when Kravitz finally spoke openly about his relationship with Bonet, it surprised many. But for those who had really been listening, the truth had always been there in the music. One of the most striking revelations came not just from Kravitz's reflections on their past love, but from how their bond had expanded in ways few expected. Their connection evolved into something rare, a deeply respectful, loving friendship that extended beyond the two of them to include their blended families. When Lisa Bonet met actor Jason Momoa in 2005 at a jazz club in Los Angeles, it marked the beginning of a new chapter for her, and for everyone connected to her. Together, Bonet and Momoa welcomed 2 children, daughter Lola in 2007 and son Nakoa Wolf in 2008. They married in a quiet ceremony in 2017. What stood out most about this new dynamic was Kravitz's response. Rather than keeping his distance or maintaining a polite, detached relationship, he fully embraced Momoa as part of their extended family. "We're like brother and sister," Kravitz said of his relationship with Bonet in a 2019 People interview. "After Lisa and I separated, we learned to find a new relationship. Then I met Jason when they got together, and I love him. He loves my kid, I love their kids, and we're all one big family. It's beautiful." This wasn't just lip service. Kravitz and Momoa developed a genuine friendship, so much so that Kravitz told The Times in 2019 that the Aquaman star was like a brother to me. He openly acknowledged that maintaining such a harmonious bond took real work, but that the emotional dividends were immeasurable. Their blended family became a modern model of love, respect, and emotional maturity, defying the often painful narrative of post-divorce division. The strength of this connection was visible in public moments. One such occasion was the 2015 Met Gala, where Kravitz, Bonet, and Zoë attended together. Kravitz posted a photo of the three of them with a simple, powerful caption, "Family." Even after Bonet and Momoa announced their separation in January 2022, the extended bonds remained intact. That November, when Kravitz shared a heartfelt birthday tribute to Bonet on social media, Momoa responded with a string of heart emojis, silent proof that their chosen family was still whole, despite shifting romantic ties. After years of offering carefully measured comments about his relationship with Lisa Bonet, Lenny Kravitz has recently begun speaking with a new candor, almost as if to say, "Finally, I can tell you what this has really meant." In promotional interviews for his latest album Blue Electric Light and his memoir Let Love Rule, Kravitz has revealed some of his deepest insights into the enduring connection he shares with Bonet. "I am what I am because of our experience, because of everything that I was, everything that she was, and everything that came together," he told People magazine. This wasn't a perfunctory nod to a former spouse. It was a heartfelt acknowledgement of the lasting impact Bonet has had on the man, an artist, he became. What's striking about Kravitz's recent reflections is how he speaks of Lisa not as a relic of his past, but as a constant, living presence in his ongoing life story. "The love doesn't leave you," he said. "But it has to find a new way to funnel itself into a new life." In this simple yet profound statement, he captures the rare emotional alchemy of transforming romantic love into a different, enduring kind of bond, one that isn't diminished by time or circumstance, but reshaped by it. Perhaps his most poignant admission came when he stated, "She is a part of my life that will never leave my heart, my soul, or my spirit." These words defy easy categorization. Their relationship isn't defined by friendship or romance alone, but by a unique emotional closeness that resists conventional labels. Rather than downplaying their bond to fit expectations about how former spouses should behave, Kravitz embraces the continued depth of their connection, with honesty, grace, and vulnerability. This emotional transparency stands in stark contrast to the guarded, often distant narratives we see surrounding divorce. Kravitz challenges the assumption that love must disappear when a relationship ends, or that former partners must become strangers. Instead, he and Bonet have charted a different path, one rooted in mutual respect, love, and emotional continuity. It's not just a story of surviving heartbreak, but of evolving it into something richer. In his memoir and interviews, Kravitz consistently returns to Bonet as a central figure in his emotional life. He speaks not just of what they had, but what they still share, an ongoing legacy of love that shaped their daughter Zoë, inspired his music, and continues to guide him. Their story isn't about a love lost, it's about a love redefined. Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet continue on their unique journey, together, yet apart, leaving behind a legacy that transcends their individual accomplishments in music and acting. Their relationship, once romantic and now something more nuanced, serves as a powerful model for a more evolved vision of love, family, and connection. At its heart, their story challenges the conventional belief that love must fit within strict categories or end with the dissolution of a marriage. Rather than viewing their divorce as the conclusion of their bond, Kravitz and Bonet redefined their relationship. They found a way to preserve emotional closeness and mutual respect, allowing their connection to evolve rather than end. Their story illustrates how relationships can shift into new, meaningful forms, ones that honor the past while making room for individual growth and transformation. For their daughter Zoë Kravitz, this legacy has been especially impactful. She was raised in an environment of emotional stability, where her parents demonstrated collaboration and kindness even after parting ways. That consistency and support have no doubt contributed to her self-assurance and success. The family they built, expanded through Lisa's relationship with Jason Momoa and their children, represents a broader, more inclusive vision of what family can be, not restricted by bloodlines or marital status, but shaped by love, respect, and shared commitment. To those watching from the outside, Kravitz and Bonet's story offers a refreshing counterpoint to the cultural script that often frames divorce as a failure and ex-spouses as adversaries. Instead, they've shown what it looks like when love matures rather than disappears, when two people choose grace over resentment, and shared history becomes a foundation for continued connection rather than a source of regret. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of their legacy is this: relationships don't have to follow a prescribed script. Lenny and Lisa chose to write their own, and in doing so, They created something enduring and deeply human, something that defies easy labels but clearly enriches both of their lives. When Lenny Kravitz finally opened up about the depth of his bond with Bonet, it surprised many. But to those who had been paying attention, to the music, to the gestures, to the family photos, it made perfect sense.